Hey replay viewer, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't forget to tap on the screen if something I say resonates, because just because you missed a live show does not mean that you can't get kinesthetic with what I'm saying. I find that it actually helps cement what's making sense for you in your head as you're listening. I really appreciate you watching. Hey Gary, how are you? Look at Gary. I love it. So today I'm going to talk about rewards and punishment, pleasure and pain when it comes to your goal and making it happen. So good to see you too, Gary. So yesterday we talked about Make It Happen November and how this month we're going to make some stuff happen, right? We talked about making that list, checking it twice. We talked about picking 3 things off that list. And we talked about picking one thing and asking yourself what was in your control when it came to that one thing and how you can use that question to move you forward. Today, and then I mentioned how I was going to talk about rewards, and I didn't mention punishments, but I was thinking about it and they kind of go together. Someone who's really a fan, I've found, of the pain-pleasure principles is Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a huge name, if not the name, in the personal development industry, the personal development world, and he is basically like the top of the pyramid when it comes to personal development. Typically, when I'm describing what I do and people are like, what is that? And I say, oh, do you know Tony Robbins? They're like, oh, yeah, so like motivational speaker. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you could kind of say that. Tony Robbins really believes in pain and pleasure to drive a goal. Second only to me. Thank you so much. I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't need no big head now. So, Tony Robbins talks about pain and pleasure and how you can use pleasure, thank you so much for those hearts, ooh, blue ones today, to drive yourself forward, or using the pain principles to also drive yourself forward. So he's using pleasure to move you forward, and as well, and also uses pain to move you forward. So that's the pleasure pain principles. You can look this up. Or you can call it rewards and punishment. I've heard of other people using this. Personally, in my practice, I don't necessarily use it in the way that I've heard of it used. I completely understand it and I see the background of it, but what I do in my practice is I use the background of it in a different way. I use it more to relate to what you're actually doing. So for our Make It Happen November, once we've picked that one thing, and I feel like I should make some sort of like downloadable worksheets or something for this challenge. Do you hear that noise upstairs? I'm sorry about that. In any case, so when it comes to your goal, I remember we were talking about some rewards. I believe Gary mentioned to throw the phone away as a reward. And that's one thing you can definitely do if that works for you. That's one thing you can do, I suppose. And I was thinking for me, my reward would be, I want to ride a horse. I have been wanting to ride a horse for the past year and a half, like a little over a year now. For my birthday, I wanted to ride a horse. That didn't happen. I did other things, and that was awesome. This year, I still want to ride a horse, but it's getting cold up in here in the Midwest. Like, Chicago is getting cold. It's a beautiful day outside. But the thing about it is, it's going to happen. Okay, when is retirement? Retirement's going to be awesome, Gary. You'll be strumming that guitar more often. Oh, I can't wait for another praise session. The thing about rewards, though, is it's 25 years. Well, that's like, what is that, a quarter century? 25 years to retirement? A quarter century? So you got time. You got time to make sure people really miss you when you don't pick up that phone anymore. Are you going to live in the woods or something? I have a lot of people that want to live in the woods with like no civilization around them or anything. Oh, really? Are you one of those woods people? I seem to get on really well in the mountains. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. That's going to be really pretty. Are you going to become like an author? Just clacking away looking at the mountains? This is like the image I have in my head. I digress. That sounds like a really good reward, actually. Like moving away off the radar. Okay, I see you, Gary. I better soak you up before you leave. I got 25 years to soak you up, so it's gonna happen. Don't want to lose the Gariness on the Periscope. I need to watch more live scopes, by the way. So, pleasure. Why I don't use pleasure, pain in the way that it comes in form of like things. So me riding the horse, yeah, I wanted to do this last year, but I easily said, okay, fine, I'll do it another year. What's to stop me when I pick a reward for myself from moving it again, from distancing myself from the meaning it has for me? You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, if the reward would be to get my nails done, if the reward would be to go for a massage, if the reward would be to, I don't know, pick a reward, what is stopping you from really distancing yourself from that being a reward, from that being something that you really want? You would either have to pick something that you really want and really go for it if that's going to motivate you, but there is something to be said for that reward that you pick, that pleasure that you pick, for it to be something that you just end up dissociating with and saying, you know what, it's not really that important to me. Then in turn, your goal becomes not so important to you. So that's my issue, why I don't necessarily use the pleasure pain principle in that way and the rewards punishment principle in my practice, because I find it ineffective for me, and I find it could potentially be ineffective for a client and their goal. So I will bring it up if it's something that resonates with them, then okay, we'll jump on that wagon, but it's not something that I hugely propagate and say, yes, this is what I stand behind 100%. I do use some of those principles differently, and I'll tell you about it towards the end. So number 2 is the pain principle, the punishment. If you don't do X, what will happen as a consequence, as a negative consequence? Again, unless you have an accountability partner, if you're your own accountability partner, why would you eat the ugly frog? Why would you drink that nasty juice? Why would you skinny dip naked? Like, why? Skinny dipping is being naked. Why would you streak? If that is your pain point, why would you do that if it's your pain point? Just because you haven't, hey, Perry girls, what's up? We're talking about rewards, punishment, and pleasure and pain in moving your thank you so much for sharing. And thank you so much for sharing earlier too, Gary. I really appreciate it. Hey, what's up? Who's on the handle? Let me know. Let me call you out. So Perry girls in the house. Thank you so much, Gary. This is I was thinking about you when I was planning this out. Joanne! Girl, I caught your rice and spam last night. Controversial. Okay, I see you doing your thing, Joanne. Pain. When you use those pain points, who's actually keeping you accountable to go through with the pain if it's something that is, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a disconnect in there for me. So also, when you have that pain point, you're not really building your reputation with yourself. So this comes into where my personal ethos comes in, with the pleasure, pain, with the rewards, and punishment type functions. So thank you so much for those hearts. I love like the pink, purple, what is that, coral? Oh, so pretty. How I handle rewards, punishment, pain, pleasure, those principles that Tony Robbins loves and like other people like to use in my practice. For me, the pleasure comes from the goal. For me, I know when I accomplish the thing that I wanted to do, that I set out, that I wanted to make happen, the pleasure comes from doing it. And for some, they need something extra, especially if it's something that you don't want to do it. But how great it is to look back at your accomplishment and say, yeah, I did that. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. That's a really good feeling. So for me, that's where the pleasure lies. The pain comes from my reputation with myself has been dismantled. Your reputation with yourself is, like we were talking about several scopes ago, and I'm going to have to revise that information. But your reputation with yourself is your reputation with yourself is your reputation with yourself. You're not going to trust your baby to someone who you don't trust, that you didn't vet. You're not going to trust your light to someone who, your last light, your last candlestick. You're not going to trust that to someone who you don't trust, So why would you trust your goal, your main thing that you want to do, to someone that you don't trust, which is you? So that to me is the pain. Knowing that I'm not true to myself, knowing that I didn't do something that I said I wanted to do, that makes me question how important is it really? How can I really actually accomplish this without slaying myself? Because it's important to me that I'm my own friend, that I'm my own ally, and that I'm my own cheerleader. I need to know that I can trust myself with my dreams. So that the pain comes from knowing that, oh my God, I didn't actually live up to what I thought I could live up to. And that is That's the greatest pain I could ever be inflicted on. I could ever have, really. So the pleasure for me comes from knowing your why. When you know your why of why you want to do something, when you're clear and you're succinct and you're precise on knowing your why, the pleasure comes from completing it. And that's how, in my practice, that is a must. That is such a must. Thank you, Gary. Exactly. It's such a must. When you know your why, the pleasure lies in knowing that you know where your source is for doing what you need to do. The why is exactly, oh man, paramount is the word. The why is so paramount. It is so, in anything that you ever do, relationships romantic, relationships familial, platonic, in career, in finance, if you know your why, baby, you have found your way. In your why lies the how. There are people who have big dreams in themselves, but they don't know how to do it. My thing, in my training that I'm having right now, I clearly say, once you find your why, you find your way, and your why is going to guide you to the how. And that right there is a bombshell dropped. Your why is going to guide you to the how. Best believe it is going to guide you to the how. And your why also lies where your pleasure is. When you're clear about your why, your pleasure is in that. Is in knowing that you've actually succeeded in doing this thing that's going to impact that thing that you didn't want to do, that you've been putting off, that you know you must do, that whatever that thing is. That for me is the pleasure, and that for me is what I focus on when I'm with a client. When I'm with my clients, we hammer out their why. We go in. Because I know that in their why rests the home for motivation, extreme motivation, and focus. And so that's what I like to focus on when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to reward. What will that look like completing your goal? Exactly. Why equals what equals how equals who equals all of those things. It really does. Your why is paramount. I love that word, paramount. I'm going to add that to my vocabulary. So when it comes to then pain, or even, when it comes to pain, yeah, your reputation is dismantled. You no longer trust yourself with yourself. You no longer trust yourself with your dreams, your passions, your desires. You just don't. Your reputation with yourself has gotten knocked down. If that's not painful to you, then I don't know what you're doing here. Because just saying those words makes me feel some kind of way about that. My dreams are not a joke. My desires are not a joke. Neither are yours, okay? If they're really important to you, you want to make sure that you're taking care of them. You want to make sure you're trusting into someone who's going to take care of them. And that person's got to be you, because no one else is going to believe in you as much as you need to. Except God. And your accountability, like, you just need to maybe find someone else that help you out with that, but you're not going to inflict pain on yourself. Don't just do that. Don't do that. So another part of like finding your why is your reputation builds. When you accomplish your task, when you accomplish your goal, when you get into that, your why, amazing. Your pleasure, reward, it's all in there. And your reputation is also in there. Personally, also, I don't really like to focus much on the pain, because I hate when I hear my clients' voices, what happens in what's going on for them when you can hear how painful it would be. But I do acknowledge that just because I don't like putting them in that place, I do acknowledge that there is a necessity to a point, especially when someone isn't delivering, to really attack that pain and those pain points and say, this pain is real, this pain is true, this pain is valid. And if you don't actually, what up, Sarah? Thank you for coming in today. If you don't attend to this pain, if you don't acknowledge this pain, acknowledging the pain is going to help move you forward as well, because you're not gonna want to feel how you're feeling. If I can talk about pain and feel it, I don't want that. So when I'm with my clients and we're talking about their pains in that moment, we have a glimpse of what that pain is gonna feel like. And you best believe the next week when we talk, the next time we talk, they've done something, because that pain, feeling it in that moment with me, is enough to be like, I don't want to feel this again. Thank you so much for those hearts. I really appreciate them. I love them. Blue is a good color for you. So, pain and pleasure. Again, I'm Coach Nachi, your world-class personal development coach, speaker, and life enthusiast. Oh no, again? Am I cutting out again? I'm so sorry. if anything, oh, green hearts. Thank you. I hope it's making any type of sense. I hope I'm not cutting out too badly. I'll try not to move too much so it doesn't freeze on some sort of like horrible frame.